Good morning, everybody. It's Whitney Stormer here with another edition of Wake Up with YPN. And I'm super excited to be here this morning. We have a really special guest. As many of you know, today would have been the Ignite Success Conference. So we would have been heading down, or we actually would have already been at the Corville Marriott and had some awesome speakers there. But in lieu of the times, we are excited to bring Eric Papp today. We thought it would be a great opportunity to have him jump on our Wake Up with YPN. So good morning, Eric. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Whitney. Wake up, Iowa. Wake up. I'm Danny Tanner.
Oh, sorry.
But no, go ahead.
I just want to see if you would give us a little introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Eric Papp, coming to you live here from Tampa, Florida. And my focus is on helping knowledge workers increase their impact and their contribution. And so what that looks like is helping people be more effective towards their goal. And I'm excited here to be with you guys. One of my first talks kind of into the, speaking profession, if you will, was back 2009 or 2010 to the Florida Realtors. And then I've done since a couple of leadership academies and a couple annual conferences. And I've got my whole kind of entree into this business. One of my first programs was managing multiple priorities, objectives, and deadlines when I worked for a seminar company all the way back in 2008. And that's kind of how I got started. And so ever since then, been doing training and keynotes at conferences. And really, it's kind of been in that vein of effectiveness, getting people to think more strategically, to understand what their priorities are, developing the good habits so that they can ultimately be more successful, have more freedom of time and also money and relationships.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So let's just dive right in here. I've got 3 topics kind of written down that I'd love to ask you about. And that first one is here in the Iowa City market, even with everything going on, we've had some really great years for many, many agents. And just curious if you could tell us, with all the sales booming, how you suggest we could keep that business alive, sustain that business.
Absolutely. This, even though as tough of a year it's been for a lot of people, 2020, this has been, very healthy, very strong for a lot of folks in real estate. But here's the thing though. What happens if we don't self-reflect and look at this year and say, okay, where did my sales come from? Where did my leads come from? If we don't reflect, did they just kind of happen? I've had some years like that too, where I've had some great success, some great opportunities come. And then I've thought, oh, well, that's because I'm great at what I do. Oh, that's because, it's because of me. And then it's kind of like a roller coaster, you're up and then you're down. And so one of the ways to prevent that is to take half a day or even less than half a day, just take 50 minutes and kind of analyze this year and look and see, where did a lot of your money-making opportunities and your deals come from? Did they just quote unquote happen? And if that was the case, that's okay, but you have to look realistically into 2021 or 2022, depending upon how far you're going to plan out ahead, that might not always be the case. So what are you going to build? How are you going to build some systems and some processes now to hopefully ensure that success? Because that's a big part. It's like when you see one-hit wonders. I'm a college football fan. I went to the University of Notre Dame, and right now we're 10-0, and we beat Clemson recently. We're going to play them again. I don't know if it's going to be a very tough game. Iowa State is. I think you guys are what, 8-2.
I don't know.
Now, there's some people that are either Iowa State or Iowa. I don't know how. I'm not sure how good Iowa's doing, but I know Iowa State is doing. They're having a good year this year. But anyway, so here, football's a great example of this, right? Like last year, LSU came on the scene. They were so dominant. Joe Burrow blowing teams out. Where are they today? So it's like they didn't have the pipeline developed per se to have those continual success. And now when you look at a program like an Alabama or a Clemson, they've had sustained success. And so one of the keys is you have to think of a pipeline. And in football, it's your pipeline of talent, whether it's talent at certain positions, talent at coaching positions, and in real estate, it's no different. What is your pipeline? So looking and really seeing, okay, what is my pipeline going into 2021? What are some prospective deals I'm going to get? what are those relationships that maybe I've started to plant the seeds in 2019 and 2020 that are possibly going to develop in 2021? So really getting an idea of what your pipeline is very important. And then there's basic tools that you can use, for pipeline management, Salesforce. I like Pipedrive, in terms of kind of putting in, prospects there and seeing where they are and kind of moving them through the stages. But that would be the biggest thing this year, is because when you have success, it's so easy to just say, oh, that's because I'm great, and to be in self-deception and say, oh, it's going to happen next year. And then you go out and you buy that new car, or you make that, extreme purchase yourself. And then you find yourself, oh man, I can't pay this because this is not going to happen. And as human beings, when something happens once, we think it's immediately going to happen again. The predictability is going to be there, but that's not always the case. So don't be that LSU. Sorry if you're an LSU fan. Try to be like that Alabama. We are having that sustained success, and it all goes with your pipeline. So how are you putting deals in there, and what is it that you're doing that's going to keep that healthy pipeline, into years to come?
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's easy to get wrapped up in the moment, to look at your sales, see what you've got, closed. But once it's closed, it's done, and you got to find that next deal. So as long as you have that pipeline, you continue to feed it. I think that's great.
Absolutely. And prospecting is not a default behavior that we naturally do, and so when things are going great, even if we have that time, like I'm sure agents have some time they could carve out a half day during their week or something. I would really invite them to do that, and then just pick like 5 strong prospecting activities that you're going to do. Maybe it's going to meet with an office, meet with a prospective client, keep continuing to prospect. That's how you'll have that sustained success into 2021. Don't forget what got you here.
It's easy to get busy, get into a bunch of deals, and kind of stop doing what got you there. And then all of a sudden you've got all this going, and then you've got nothing. So.
Yeah. And that's a tough place to be, right? Because then what happens is then our ego takes a hit. We immediately go, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Do people not like me, or do they not think I'm good? Or they not? And that's a dangerous place to be, because then we start beating ourselves up, and then we start losing confidence. Your number one thing that you have to protect as a real estate agent is your confidence. So keep your confidence high. So continue to prospect. And then also with that too, continue to develop yourself. I love using Audible, that I can listen to books. I love using Hoopla. Hoopla is like the library version. I don't know if it's out there in Iowa. I'm sure it is. It's libraries from all around the country. And I love to listen to stuff when I'm in the car to keep my mindset going high. So that helps my confidence going high. And when that's high, that helps me to have that sustainability of what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Using your time wisely to do those activities that we all need. It's just finding that time to do it. And we've got the time while we're in the car. So
right. We definitely have the time, because social media, just randomly going on Instagram and randomly, going and just kind of scrolling through, we get caught up, and then boom, there goes 50 minutes goes right by.
Yeah, I honestly deleted the Facebook app off my phone for that specific reason.
Smart. You have to ask yourself, how is this improving my life? Is this making me money? Is this strengthening my relationships? And oftentimes it's not. It's just serving as a distraction.
Yeah, time sucker. So Facebook, things like this, we're kind of getting into that technology, which was another topic I really wanted to talk to you about. With COVID-19 being it's here. It's, we don't know the time frame this is going to be. And I would say when it first hit, we were more thinking, okay, virtual open houses. We've got a little bit of new technology. We're going to do this for a couple of months. That was back when we thought, school would be in session 100%. And there are some districts that aren't, or partially virtual. We never thought that it would be this long, and it's here. And I think it's here to stay for a little bit. There's some good news, coming out. Hopefully things do come together, but I do think we're going to be using more technology a little bit longer than maybe we had expected. So how would you say we can kind of balance the new technology, the old technology? How can we make that all, be one piece? And it's going to be a little bit longer. So what would be kind of your suggestion there?
Well, before we talk about that, I want to talk about just 2020, right? It was a pressure-filled year. And think about pressure. Pressure can burst pipes, or it can create diamonds. and that's something to think about. And like the atmospheric pressure, I looked it up to form a diamond. It was something like 230,000 to like 1 point something million. But anyway, it's very interesting because it forces us, right? It's disruptive. It does to do things. And so as terrible as this COVID has been, it's also forced education, to have virtual education, virtual sessions, where things have been lacking. Healthcare, we've always had the ability, but now it's like to really go virtual healthcare and to have, to just boom, get on screen, see a doctor, and having that. So I think there's some disruptions that will be helpful, that will help us in the future, because we've had to kind of adapt there. And that's what we look at. So then it comes in terms of technology in our business, right? I'm always a believer in a blend of the both. How can we automate certain repetitive tasks, but yet how can we also then still have a high touch customer interaction? Because that at the end of the day will never go away. People still buy from people. People still buy homes from people. They don't buy it from, an organization. They don't buy it from the company itself. Whatever the company's name. No, they buy from that person. They buy from an agent, and that they know, that they like, and they trust, and they have that rapport with. So that's something that's so important, because sometimes, people coming in the profession today, maybe that they're fairly new, they're thinking they're going to automate everything and, have all the, kind of hide behind technology. And that's not going to be a successful long-term strategy. Successful long-term strategy would be able to combine some of the technology today with that high-touch human interaction. Now, I'll give you an example. What I do in my business is emails. Emails are something that we do, right? It's something that, it's technology. So how can we combine it in a way that it's a human touch? What I do is with my clients and prospective clients, I send them a video message. So like a personalized video message, and usually it's under 45 seconds. And I'll usually have their name on a Post-it note that I'll hold up, and I'll hit record. Hi Whitney, it's Eric Papp with Keller Williams, and just wanted to follow up with you about blah blah blah. And hey, I noticed you were, and just it's a quick thing. It's just a little quick video message. So you combining technology with that high touch, and I've had some really good success with doing that, and I continue to use that in my business. So that's where I would say is just looking to see how you can blend the two. Because also too, what I'll see is young agents today, they'll hide behind, they'll just spend, I'm going to do a lot of time on social media. I'm going to spend a lot of time. Well, you have to look at, is that an MMA, money-making activity? Or is that just, are we just kidding ourselves? It's going to make us money. Now, if you sold previous, 5 of your last 7 homes from Facebook or something, then yeah, continue to do that. But you have to look and see, what are the results? What are the results that are given us from the technology? Because we can become inundated with, oh my gosh, now I got to go post on LinkedIn, and now I got to go post on Instagram, now I got to post on Facebook. And it can really take us away from what our core competency is as a realtor. So that's something to really see how you can blend that technology with that high touch.
Yes, I agree. It's easy to get sucked in, kind of like we talked about with Facebook, or you're trying to post on every platform, and then you're sucking time and things like that. And then, people want to see us, they want to hear us, pick up that phone or do that video, versus just hiding behind a text or hiding behind an email, or like you said, hiding behind social media. So
absolutely. And it's easy, Whitney, too, to get, because the level of comparison, right? Oh, well, I see that Tom Smith, man, he posts X amount of times a day and he does this. And it's like, oh, I got to do that. Well, you might not realize, but Tom Smith might have a whole team behind him, and he might not even be posting it. He might be paying somebody, and he's able to do that because he's been established, and he's still, and so very little of his time is doing that. So we just have to be mindful of this whole idea of comparison, because I think a lot of times as professionals, we compare a lot. Even as human beings, we compare. Oh man, they just got this listener. Oh, they just sold. Oh, I need to be doing this. And like we immediately, and then we stop kind of our strategy, or we don't have a strategy. We're just shooting tactics all day long, and there's no coherent strategy. So then we're not having the success that we want. And that's a big thing as well, especially with young agents, is, developing your strategy, using your strengths, coherent set of actions that's going to give you your desired result. And it might not give you your desired result next week, or even next 2 weeks or next month, but you're building something that's going to be a long-term play.
Absolutely. And that goes back to kind of our first topic of picking up, going through, taking half a day or a little bit less. Where are your sales coming from? Put that plan together and stick with it, because it is so easy. You put that plan together and then you see somebody doing something sparkly over here, and then you want to kind of do that, but this is what makes me, my business profitable. Stick with your plan. So
exactly. Think about it like that. Iowa, I know, is a big wrestling state. Wrestling's big in Iowa. I wrestled in high school. I dabbled a little bit in professional wrestling, but didn't, just train a little bit. Think of it like MMA. Just, you could write MMA on a sheet of paper, and that stands for money making activities. And so, okay, you're in real estate, and you're going to check your email. Okay, is that email, and then now you get lost in that vortex for 50 minutes. Well, was any of that MMA, money making activities? And so put even a little post-it note so you can see it on your computer, even in your bathroom mirror. MMA, money making activities.
Yeah.
And if you're not, doing those, then you're not going to have the goals that you probably want, that you probably initially, set off in real estate. So that's something that really, and that'll get us in tune with, okay, what are we doing is producing and what we think we're doing. So to really be thinking about that.
Yeah. And I think that staying focused piece you kind of talked about kind of leads me into my last topic of how do we make sure to have quality interactions with our buyers and sellers. We want to make sure that they're quality, we stay focused, those type of things. What would your recommendation be on that?
The biggest thing I would say with it, honesty. And it sounds so trite, or it sounds like, oh, it's not, I wrote a book called 3 Values of Being an Effective Person. Now, it did so well, it's free on Amazon. That means it didn't do well. Anyway, the 3 values were honesty, responsibility, and generosity. Honesty is honoring your word. Okay. And I think the folks in Iowa, I think they get it, because there's, historically farmers and stuff, when they shook their hand and they said, hey, we're going to do this deal, for this land, they meant it.
Yep.
And I think as we've gotten longer, as it's the year 2020, we have, lawyers and stuff, and people getting out of things, and, oh, well, that's not what I said. Oh, that's not what I mean. Well, I interpret it like this. And it's like, no, if we can just be honest with somebody, hey, I think I can sell your property within 1 month, and being honest, and not, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you something that you might not want to hear, but at least for me, I'm going to tell you what's truthful, and hopefully you'll value that. Hopefully you're not going to hire me just because it's what I'm going to tell you. It's going to make you feel good, because then if you tell somebody that just to get that contract or just to get that listing, then it's going to serve as a pain in the rear, because then yourself, you weren't honest with them, you weren't honest with yourself, and so it weighs at you. Maybe they're calling you, hey, how come this is not sold, or how come you're not doing enough marketing, and then it's creating a lot of agita for you. So the biggest thing is honesty, being honest with yourselves and being honest with other people. And it starts with ourself, right? Self-honesty is very simply, what are the commitments and promises I'm making to myself? And then if I start to follow through with that, then everything else stems from that. So for example, if I say, man, okay, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to go for a walk, go for a run, because I know that when I start my day with exercise, with physical, it just clears my head. Great. I get up the next day and I say, oh man, it's a little cold out. It just rained. Yeah, maybe I'll do that later. Well, what happens is throughout the entire day, what keeps popping up in our head? Hey, you were going to go take a walk today. Hey, you were going to go take a walk today. Why haven't you taken a walk? Oh man, you're not taking a walk. Why aren't you doing that? And what happens, we start to doubt ourselves. And so that's the key thing, is so the promises that you make to yourself, start to fulfill those. When you say, I'm going to do this, start to fulfill on that. And then your honesty with buyers, with sellers, that'll get better and better, because I think sometimes, young people today starting out in the profession, I was the same way starting my career, is just, I kind of would say things and I kind of knew, like, half true. And then it would later come to, bite me in the end. Like I wasn't really feeling good about what I committed to. So, and taking ownership, I'm going to say this to this buyer, they might not like it. They might not want it. They might not, want to hear it, but I want to share that with them. You know, I think it'll better serve them. And look, you'll have that person. To me, that person will respect you more, and they'll have you, you know, recommending to people and having that, as opposed to just being somebody who's going to be kind of all fluff and no action. So honesty is a big part. What's that?
I said, I feel like you're talking right to me. I need to get back into that exercise. And I think if you are honest with yourself, it all trickles to the.
Yeah, it all starts. Yeah, it all starts with the promises that we make to ourselves. Because here's the thing: if I'm breaking promises to myself, there's a good chance that I'm breaking promises probably to other people. And that's kind of the impact. And then my word, right, is not really as powerful as it could be.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of the idea. And in Iowa, I mean, Iowa's a great example. I mean, Iowa, the history of farming and stuff. I mean, you have people that tremendous honesty, tremendous honor their word, and tremendous when they said, hey, we're going to do this deal, or I'm going to sell you half my land, or I'm going to give you this. They meant it and they delivered on it. You know, so you guys, I mean, being in Iowa, I think is a great advantage, because there is that culture is already built in there. Whereas other parts of the United States and even the world, you know, somebody agrees to something and then they go back and they completely, you know, it doesn't fall through, or they try to, you know, get out of the deal or something, and they don't realize what it ends up costing them is a lot in the end.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for jumping on with us. I want to be respectful of your time and everybody else's time.
Yeah. Do we have any comments? Is anybody out there? Any comments? Any questions? Anybody want to throw?
Anybody has?
Throw a curveball. Throw a softball.
So on my end, I don't see anything, but let me check my phone if I got anything.
Was it the Iowa City? I'm trying to think of Kurt. Was it the Iowa City Barnstormers? Right? Was that the arena football team you guys had or have? Arena football is no longer. That's we had Tim Bay Storm. Iowa City. Any comments or anything? No?
Don't have any comments at this time, but I
would have loved to have been out there with you guys in person.
Yes, and that's what I want to remind everybody, that next year you are going to be here.
Yes.
So that 2021 Ignite Success, we've got you locked and loaded. So we will get to see you, meet you, ask questions in person. Now we've got like a year to put those together. So we'll make sure they're pretty challenging.
Yeah. Hey, and keep working on that pipeline, guys. Keep building those pipelines, and keep doing the activities that you probably don't want to do, but to have that sustained success, right? Don't be that LSU, that flash in the pan.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much again, Eric, and we will see you next year.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you.